Excellent. Lesson 2 naturally builds on Lesson 1. Since learners can now identify advanced hazards, the next step is teaching them how to evaluate those hazards professionally and determine whether the risk is acceptable, tolerable, or unacceptable. Graduation Cap KHAB 17, HSE Global Safety Leader Professional Training Academy. Module 9, Advanced Risk Management and Work Planning. Lesson 2, Professional Risk Assessment. Drone footage of a refinery turnaround project. Workers erect scaffolding, cranes lift steel beams, inspectors review permits, and HSE personnel observe activities. In our previous lesson, we learned how professional HSE officers identify hazards that many people overlook. We explored hazard interaction, SIMOPS, human factors, environmental influences, and dynamic hazards. But identifying hazards is only the first step. The next question is, which hazards require immediate action? Which risks are acceptable? Which controls are sufficient? This is where professional risk assessment becomes one of the most valuable tools in health, safety, and environmental management. Every day, HSE professionals make decisions that affect lives, property, production, and the environment. These decisions cannot be based on assumptions. They must be based on structured, evidence-based risk assessment. Today, you'll learn how experienced HSE professionals evaluate risk using internationally recognized principles from *NEBOSH, *IOSH, and *ISO 45001 *. By the end of this lesson, you'll be able to develop professional quality risk assessments suitable for construction, oil and gas, petrochemical, manufacturing, and infrastructure projects. Let's begin. Learning objectives. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to white heavy checkmark explain professional risk assessment. White heavy checkmark apply a risk matrix correctly. White heavy checkmark differentiate likelihood from severity. White heavy checkmark identify existing controls. White heavy checkmark determine residual risk. White heavy checkmark apply the allot principle. White heavy checkmark decide whether work should proceed. What is risk assessment? Many people believe that completing a risk assessment simply means filling in a form. That is incorrect. A risk assessment is a structured process used to determine 1. What could go wrong? 2. How likely is it? 3. What will be the consequences? 4. What controls already exist? 5. Are additional controls needed? 6. Is the remaining risk acceptable? According to ISO 45001 organizations must identify hazards, assess risks, implement controls, and continue to review their effectiveness. Similarly, *NEBOSH emphasizes that risk assessment is a foundation preventing occupational injuries, illnesses, environmental harm, and major accidents. A good risk assessment is not paperwork. It is a decision-making tool. Hazard versus risk. Let's briefly revisit an important distinction. Hazard is anything with the potential to cause harm. Risk is the likelihood that the hazard will cause harm, combined with the severity of that harm. For example, an open trench is a hazard. The risk depends on factors such as 1. Trench depth. 2. Soil stability. 3. Worker exposure. 4. Protective systems. 5. Weather conditions. 6. Nearby equipment. Two identical hazards may present very different levels of risk depending on the controls in place. Scenario: 2 construction sites have identical excavations. At Site A, 1. No barricades. 2. No trench support. 3. Heavy rain. 4. Workers inside. At Site B, 1. Proper shoring. 2. Safe access ladder. 3. Daily inspections. 4. Barricades installed. 5. Competent supervisor. The hazard is the same. The risk is completely different. Components of a professional risk assessment. Professional risk assessments generally follow these steps. Identify hazards. Identify who might be harmed. Evaluate the level of risk. Review existing controls. Determine additional controls. Recalculate residual risk. Document findings. Review whenever conditions change. Understanding the risk matrix. Risk matrix appears. One of the most widely used tools in industry is the risk matrix star. Although formats vary between organizations, most combine two factors. 1. Likelihood. 2. Severity. The intersection of these factors determines the overall risk rating. For example, 1. Low likelihood plus minor injury equals low risk. 2. High likelihood plus catastrophic consequences equals extreme risk. The matrix helps prioritize action. It does not replace professional judgment. Likelihood. Likelihood asks one question. Asterisk, how probable is this event? Asterisk. Factors influencing likelihood include 1. Frequency of exposure. 2. Worker competence. 3. Equipment condition. 4. Environmental conditions. 5. Human behavior. 6. Previous incidents. 7. Reliability of controls. Example: a scaffold inspected daily by a competent person has a lower likelihood of failure than an uninspected scaffold assembled by untrained workers. Severity. Severity asks, asterisk, if something goes wrong, how serious could the consequences be? Asterisk. Possible consequences include 1. First aid injury. 2. Medical treatment. 3. Lost time injury. 4. Permanent disability. 5. Fatality. 6. Multiple fatalities. 7. Environmental pollution. 8. Property damage. 9. Business interruption. Professional HSE officers always consider the worst credible consequence, not the most convenient assumption. Existing controls. One common mistake among new HSE officers is ignoring controls already in place. Professional assessment should identify existing measures such as 1. Guardrails. 2. Permit to work. 3. Toolbox talks. 4. PP. 5. Gas monitoring. 6. Isolation procedures. 7. Competent supervision. 8. Emergency plans. These controls reduce the likelihood or severity of an event. Residual risk. Residual risk is the level of risk that remains after all existing and additional controls have been implemented. Remember, risk can rarely be reduced to zero. Instead, the objective is to reduce it to an acceptable level. This is why residual risk is reassessed after additional controls have been introduced. A LOP principle. Asterisk. A LOP triangle. Asterisk. One of the most important principles in professional risk management is asterisk a LOP star. A LOP stands for asterisk as low as reasonably practicable. Asterisk. It means risk should be reduced until further reduction would require resources grossly disproportionate to the additional safety benefit. This does asterisk, not asterisk, mean accepting unnecessary risk. It means implementing all reasonably practicable controls before accepting residual risk. For example, installing edge protection on a scaffold is reasonably practicable. Refusing to work because there is still a very small residual risk after all controls have been implemented is generally not. Professional judgment is essential. Risk acceptance. Not every risk is acceptable. Organizations typically classify risks into categories such as low risk, proceed with normal supervision; medium risk, proceed with additional controls and monitoring; high risk, management approval required. Additional controls must be implemented. Large red circle, extreme risk. Work must not proceed until the risk is reduced. Professional HSE officers must understand their organization's risk acceptance criteria. Professional case study. Scaffold erection. Case study. You have been assigned to prepare a professional risk assessment for scaffold erection. Hazard. Worker falling from height. 1. Persons at risk. 2. Scaffold erectors. 3. Nearby workers. 4. Supervisors. 5. Visitors. Existing controls. 1. Certified scaffolders. 2. Full body harness. 3. Inspection tags. 4. Barricaded work area. Additional controls. 1. Weather monitoring. 2. Rescue plan. 3. Double lanyards. 4. Tool lanyards. 5. Dedicated supervisor. Initial risk. High. Residual risk. Medium. Decision. Work may proceed under continuous supervision. Common mistakes. Inexperienced HSE officers often 1. Copy previous assessments without reviewing current conditions. 2. Underestimate likelihood. 3. Ignore environmental factors. 4. Fail to involve workers. 5. Overestimate the effectiveness of PPE. 6. Forget to review assessments after changes occur. Risk assessments must always reflect the actual work environment. Best practice. 1. Experienced HSE professionals. 2. Visit the worksite before writing the assessment. 3. Consult supervisors and workers. 4. Review drawings and permits. 5. Consider human factors. 6. Apply the hierarchy of controls. 7. Use a LARP when selecting controls. 8. Obtain approvals before work begins. 9. Monitor the effectiveness of controls during execution. 10. Review assessments whenever conditions change. Practical exercise. You have been assigned to conduct a professional risk assessment for scaffold erection. Complete the following. 1. Identify 5 hazards. 2. Identify who may be harmed. 3. List existing controls. 4. Recommend additional controls. 5. Estimate residual risk. 6. Decide whether the work should proceed. Discuss your findings with your supervisor or training group. Pause for reflection. Imagine you are the HSE officer. Would you approve scaffold erection if 1. Wind speed exceeds a manufacturer's limits? 2. Workers are not trained? 3. Rescue equipment is unavailable? Why? Think carefully before answering. Professional decisions save lives. Knowledge check. 1. What is the purpose of a professional risk assessment? 2. Explain the difference between likelihood and severity. 3. What is residual risk? 4. What does a lot mean? 5. Why should a risk assessment be reviewed whenever work conditions change? Lesson summary. Today, you learned that professional risk assessment is much more than completing a form. It is a structured process for evaluating hazards, understanding the people at risk, assessing likelihood and severity, reviewing existing controls, implementing additional measures, and determining whether the remaining risk is acceptable. You also learned how to use a risk matrix, apply the ALOT principle, identify residual risk, and make informed decisions about whether work should proceed. These skills are fundamental to modern HSE practice and are expected of competent professionals working in construction, oil and gas, petrochemical, manufacturing, and infrastructure projects. In Lesson 3, we will move beyond assessing risks and learn how to convert those findings into a professional method statement a clear, step-by-step document that tells workers exactly how to perform high-risk tasks safely. Remember a hazard may be unavoidable, but uncontrolled risk is not. Professional HSE officers do not guess. They assess, control, monitor, and continually improve. Thank you for learning with KHAB 17 HSE Global Safety Leader Professional Training Academy. Stay safe, keep learning, and I'll see you in Lesson 3, method statement.